Hi guys, welcome to Talk Time Anime. I am your host today, Jordan, and today we are reviewing Chapter 11 of Time Paradox Ghostwriter. Before, if anyone's seen it, what? Let's start off. We start off the Chapter 11 with their pledge, I want to say is, yeah, like when they're facing off against each other, they say like each other's going to win, blah blah blah, very shonen. And we start seeing now, because it went from that moment in the last chapter with Aino, we saw Aino's perspective. This chapter really focused on Sasaki's perspective from that time. And if anyone's watched the last chapter and my thoughts of what I thought was going to happen, I thought that the editor would be the one to tell Sasaki, which he is, that Aino is has put herself in a secluded herself, and I thought that hearing that news, he would go to see her because he'd think, oh, maybe she hasn't seen anyone for how long. Maybe I should go check up on her after the fact that he knows that she fucking dies. But no, he hears the news, and he kind of just keeps going, even though he's already lost that first bit and he's losing to Anima, her series, and he's struggling, but he keeps going. He keeps going. He keeps trying to beat her, and then he received the news from the editor. But yeah, I can't believe it. The sheer shock I was in when I found out. But yeah, then he, instead of going to see her, he calls her on the phone, and they have this really wholesome conversation, and I loved it a lot. I was like, you couldn't tell. Like, this is the thing. This is why I feel sorry for Sasaki. Is when she was talking, I get what he means. Like, she was like normal Aino again, kind of thing. Like when she spoke to him, it was like normal Aino, and it was like really nice and wholesome. But it didn't work out that way, and yeah, you could tell that one panel they left in the kind of just her holding the phone with a slight smile was and it was she she enjoyed that conversation, but that's the first time, because in the previous chapter, you get to a certain point and you barely see her smiling. That's that must have been I want to say, I know this is very this would be very stereotypical manga kind of thing, but I reckon that most likely is the last time she probably smiled, before she apparently dies of overexhaustion. And when Sasaki finds this out, without even saying it, you knew what Sasaki heard over the phone, and it was wow, I did not see that coming. Like I said in the last episode, in the last chapter, I thought that she wouldn't have died. I didn't think she died there. I thought she would have gonna go to the hospital. Someone would have found her. I thought Sasaki was going to find her, but no. She died there, and then by the time someone found her, she's already passed away, and then it left with Sasaki being on his own and having to come straight with the facts of he couldn't save her, even though he knew this was going to happen. And then he makes some really good points, in my opinion, where he says even if I had beat her, it would have most likely urged her to try more, try harder. So how would that have stopped her from from her dying from overexhaustion? Also, even if there was a way from that, which I have a couple of theories how him beating her could have done that. But even so, there would have been surely countless other ways of saving her other than that. Easier ways, going to see her, like I said, going to find her at this time, if they'd sent something like that. But yeah, I was pretty shocked, and I get where he's coming from, Sasaki, and again, I said this in the last episode, but the art is so good. The art is so good. I think it's so underrated right now. The series in general, but also the art. I think that is one of the top in shonen right now. The way he portrays emotion, I love it. It's not a massive shonen battle anime, manga even. But the way he portrays the emotion and the raw feelings behind what they're saying is, I think, incredible. But yeah, the way I just can't believe it, man. The when he finds out, it's quite shocking, and I was talking about my theories about how I think if he had beat her is one, maybe she kind of would have looked back on herself and been like, she might have been reminded as to why, like, because at the end of the last chapter she can't even remember why she started drawing in the end, which is kind of really sad. Whereas maybe that kind of would have, like, having that competition, that actual competition there, would have reminded her why she wanted to do it for the, like, thrill and stuff like that. And also how we saw she was just genuinely happy to be with Sasaki, or like speaking with Sasaki. So maybe it's something to do with that. But yeah, and then obviously the last panel after he's going off at the microwave / like robot thing that we saw in Aino's flashback as well, by the way, where he's like saying why all these questions, and he asks, and all of a sudden the portal opens up and you could tell he's just, I don't want to say he's just kind of like dead inside. He's accepting whatever fate is coming to him, and he gets sucked away, and that's how the chapter ends. I mean, I'm gonna talk about what I think happened, but like obviously there's so many ways it can go with this now. I imagine like the most likely theory right now, I guess, is that it's kind of like a redo. So like it so he'll go back maybe to that point where they declared like their rivals or whatever. And it's going to give him like a redo, whether it's going to be like a one-time thing or if it's going to be one of those ones where like he repeatedly sees her die like until it works. In which case, like, I don't understand what powers are behind that, like who is doing this, or if it is like a one chance redo. Because the thing is, I could see that as well, because the editor makes some good points in the chapter where he's basically saying that Sasaki is actually genuinely improving, like his storyboards are better and all that, like his actual story is getting better, like it's actually getting to the point where, I don't know if it's getting to the point where it's as good as like what Aino probably would have had originally planned, but it's improving. So that kind of gives me a feeling of like, is it going to keep repeating until he's as good? And in which case, like I said, like who is doing that? Like who's putting them in that situation? Is it Aino? Like, is it Aino doing it so that she knows that like if she does it, Sasaki will improve and finally achieve his dream, where maybe in her timeline, the one who's sending it back, Sasaki died, and that's why. But then it says in the manga, obviously, that, or in the issue of Shonen Jump, that she died like earlier. So I don't know. Like all this is theory. Also, like for all I know, he's been sucked into a portal, for God's sake. Like he could be like. He could have been like transported to another dimension. Like, how supernatural is this show gonna get now? Like, I know, I know it was supernatural anyway. Obviously, like the whole like Shonen Jump from the future. But that, you know, when I'm starting to read that, like chapter 1, I'm thinking that's like kind of a gag thing, and now it's gone really serious, really dark, really like real, and I fucking love it. I fucking love it so far. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's a one-time do-over. Is the thing gonna send him into the future? Maybe like like to see something. Is it gonna transport him to that timeline where the like microwave or the Shonen Jumps originally came from? Is it gonna be a completely new timeline, or is he gonna be the one that sends back those messages? Like, is he going to become the one that sends back the messages and we're going to start again, like with Sasaki, like a Sasaki in another universe or something, another timeline? I mean, wow. All I can say is, what a chapter. It's like a 10 out of 10 in terms of like just... I'm actually in shock at how this is only chapter 11 of this series. Like, so much has happened. So much... I just don't, like, it worries me a bit, like, you know, I can't keep throwing, I mean, we're 11 chapters in, it's, like, averaging, like, a major game-changing plot twist every, like, 5 chapters or something, you know, like, chapter 7, you find out Aino died, last chapter, you had, like, the massive thing of, like, Aino, gradually, you've got her backstory, but then you saw her gradually losing kind of everything as she secluded herself, and she couldn't even remember why she was doing it. Which was sad. And then you had this chapter where everything's kind of been flipped again. And it's like, man, you just and like I'm not worried about making predictions. I like making predictions. If I'm proved wrong, then usually it's for a good reason, you know, like this chapter. So I like making predictions, but man, you just can't. Like, I don't know where this show's going, and that's what I love about it. I think it's such a promising series. I think I said this last chapter review, but it's such a promising series. I hope they keep it up. Obviously, it's still in that position for me where I feel like it could flop hard as well if the right decisions aren't made. But honestly, also one thing I'd be happy with is if it was like pre-made to be a short series. If it was like made to be like a short series, like 60 chapters, something like that, I am fine with that. Because so far, the quality of each chapter has been very good in my opinion, and I am enjoying it greatly. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say about that chapter. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please tell me your opinions in the comments down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen next chapter. Like, is he going to be transported? Like, where is he going to be transported to? What is he going to become? Where is the next chapter even bloody starting? But yeah, please let me know what your thoughts are. Like, if you like the review and you like the series, please leave a like. I'll be doing this every week. I'll be trying to at least. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please check out if you enjoyed this, please check out our other manga reviews. If you read other Shonen Jump, we've done One Piece, My Hero. We do reactions to like the latest anime, such as God of High School. So check that out if you want. And we have a podcast where we basically discuss all of this, called the Fillersophical Podcast. So please give that a view. It's on the channel or in our channel. And if you want to keep up to date with all these uploads, please press the subscribe button. With that all being said, I appreciate you so much for staying this long. And please, I hope to see you soon. Thank you.